Hi everybody, welcome back to my channel. Today is day 3 of DIY Dollar Tree Impossibly Easy Christmas crafts. We're going to make a giant ornament out of a giant play bowl, a buffalo check scarf, and a sort of little clip. And we're also going to use a roll of the wire-edged burlap ribbon, even though we're going to remove the wire. Okay. And honestly, when I say impossibly easy, it really is. I know that it looks a little more difficult when I'm doing it sometimes because I am actually kind of working it out for you. Because this scarf isn't wide enough, it's not as wide as it would be if you had regular fabric, or especially compared to this ball, because this ball is actually quite big. I figured I tried to do like a circumference thing, and I think it's roughly an 8 or 9 inch bowl, so it's a fairly decent size. But what I noticed is as I showed you there, the scarf is not wide enough. So what we're going to do is a couple of different things I want to show you. First, I'm cutting the fringe off, and I wanted to make sure I had enough scarf to go around the ball with a little bit extra, so like about 2 inches extra. And then I just cut 2 pieces. Now, one way to do it is to take the 2 pieces, you can glue them together and make really just a giant piece of fabric. I mean, that is probably the easiest way to do it, but it does have the most waste. And I don't like waste. I just don't. But we're going to just do something a little bit different, but you guys are going to see me figure it out. Because I kind of like do a DIY sometimes, and I figure like I have an idea of how it will work, but I'm not 100% sure of its execution until I do it. So I do get a lot of comments about, that I'm so clever and I'm so creative and I come up with these things, but sometimes it's just trial and error. People always give me compliments on my lettering as well, and I just found my portfolio from high school where I took and it was called advertising, but we just worked on letters and fonts and all these things. So it's just years and years and years of practice. So I'm kind of thinking like if I scrunch one piece up this way and then one piece going the other way, that seems to want to work the best. So I did was I cut the second piece of scarf in half, and I noticed that that fills in the space perfectly. And because I took the time to start and end with the same squares. So basically the right side of the fabric starts with a black square and the left side ends with a white square. The next piece does the same. So the buffalo check actually sort of matches up from the piece that I threw in the intersection. But again, I'm able to save a whole half of a piece of the scarf, which I thought was, we love this material and we hate to just waste it. So I'm going to grab myself a rubber band. And these mason jars are Dollar Tree's mason jar candles that once the jar is empty, I use them all over my craft room to organize little things like twist ties and rubber bands and you name it, and they're in there. So I'm just going to start with a rubber band. These are rubber bands from the Dollar Tree. I double it down, I fold it in half, especially if it's a thin one, and this way you don't have to wrap it as many times. And now I'm just trying to decide, do I want to put that first piece on? At this point, the piece is just folded. It's not actually even cut yet. But I'm just working it out. I want it to be smooth as possible going up the sides. There will be some gathering, but I want to make it as smooth as possible going up the sides because I don't want it to be just all gathered. I want it to look nice and buffalo checky. I basically want to keep that look. The other thing that I'm avoiding doing is using my hot glue gun to glue this thing down to the bowl. It is a really nice thick rubber. I'm sure it will not pop or anything, but I also don't know that I want to keep this ornament for myself forever because, we have a channel. But I want to show you here, this is how it looks like with just the buffalo check scarf. This is 1.5 widths, and it's not even quite even as long, so I haven't quite used the whole scarf. But then what I realized afterwards is I kind of want to emulate an ornament that I found at the Dollar General that is a dupe of a high-end ornament. And of course this ornament is ornament sized, and so are the ones from the Dollar General, and they were very expensive, but I kind of wanted to add that burlap sort of element to it. So you could just leave the buffalo check, like I said, you could just put that skinny strip over those spaces. But what I did was I glued down the bulkiness, and I didn't glue it to the ball, I glued it to itself. Basically I tucked up the sides and I add a little bit of hot glue just to add, almost to give like darting. If I was making a dress and I wanted darting in there, that's that little seam that goes around your girly parts that keeps it fitted. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this burlap and I'm going to pull out the wires. I'm actually going to take 2 strips to go around the ball. The reason I'm doing that is because this ball is red. If you have a different color ball, if you paint your ball, obviously you won't have this problem. But this ball is red, and even though this is a very tightly woven burlap, it still shows the red through the ball. Now, it wasn't objectionable because it's red and it's Christmas kind of thing, but I didn't want that look. I wanted to just make it to the burlap. So what I did was I made 2 layers, and I kind of moved the top layer just so that the burlap pieces would fill over the holes so you wouldn't see any pink. Just take a second to do that before you go ahead and attach it down. And again, you can glue it to itself if you want to. I just tried to tuck the ends under the rubber band. And then I wanted to make sure that I had covered that space where that ball was, like where the ball was still showing. But now you can see here where it is still like makes it a little pink almost. And then when we put that second layer on, it just virtually makes it disappear, which I really thought was pretty awesome. Because I wish, if I would have had a thicker piece of burlap or a piece of fabric to go under the burlap, those 2 would have worked as well. Now, if you've never removed the wire from wire edged ribbon, it's really quite simple. All you have to do is pull back on the cut edge and you'll expose a little bit of the wire. I take the needle nose plier and I just pull it straight out. If you have a bend or a kink in your ribbon, it will make it a little bit more difficult to do, but all you have to do is just make sure your ribbon's nice and flat and then pull the wire straight out. Now with the rest of the ribbon on the roll, we're going to make a bow, but we're going to keep the wire in this bow. There are so many different ways to make bows. You guys know this is just a new technique that I learned, and I'm not that I'm not crazy about it, but I wouldn't have used it for this particular DIY because it looks really good when you keep the tails on it. But because I wanted the tails to look like, or the bow to look like the tails were actually wrapped around this ribbon and part of the hanger, this doesn't really have tails. It really could have. I probably could have gotten away with it, but. So what I'm doing is I'm taking the roll of ribbon and I'm creating a loop to go, or a hanging loop. And you decide how much or little of a loop you want. I guess depending on where you want to hang this or the look that you're after. And if you really just want to put these on your tree at $1 a pop or $1.50, $2 because we're using a roll of ribbon. So maybe $2.50 per pop. If you want to go ahead and put these on your tree, they would really not be that expensive. You definitely can get higher end ornaments other places. So if you want to do that, then you don't want to make a huge big loop, that kind of thing. So keep that in mind. And now for the bow. The technique that I learned was to basically make 6 loops, all of the same size, and you normally would pinch them in the middle if you want to have tails, but I'm pinching them just a little above the bottom, and that's probably where I went wrong. But I will tell you, I like to keep in mistakes so that you guys can learn from my mistakes from time to time. But I probably should have just made my traditional 6 loop, or what I like to call 3 loop bows, because there's three loops on both sides. But you just have to make 6 loops. And basically what you want to do is you want to take each one and fold them. Like I said, just pinch it right between, right in the middle. But like I said, I'm doing it a little lower because I didn't want tails. And then just grasp them in your finger, just keeping them pinched. I'm holding them between your finger. And when you finally get to the last one, you just want to take a piece of jute or pipe cleaner or wire, whatever you're using. And you want to just cinch them closed. Now imagine if this had tails, all of these long tails would be hanging out in the bottom, and this bow would have beautiful long tails. It would have like 12 amazing tails because there would be 2 on each loop, right? And now you just can move them around and decide where you want them to be. So once I decided that even though I wasn't crazy about this bow technique for this project, I left it. There was just a little bit too much tails on the back, so I went ahead and I trimmed them down just so they would sit on the ball better. Then I wanted to figure out how I'm going to tie it on the ball. So first I cut the extra string off, which I was like, that was the dopest move because I could have used that to tie it on. Because at first I thought I would glue it to the hanger, but it didn't work out for me that way. So I ended up putting a piece of string back on it, and I tied the string around that rubber band that we had created. around the hanging ribbon. So I just tied it around all of that and tied it really good, as tight as I could. This was a piece of heavy duty string from of jute from Walmart that my friend Steven gave me. Hi, Steven. Weaving. Okay. I digress. Sorry, what you just saw me do with the rubber spatula was, as I was starting to play with the bowl more, the ribbon, the jute was coming, I'm sorry, the burlap was coming off of the scarf. So you could just add a little glue down there. You could glue yours 100%, but I just added a little touch of glue to the end of the burlap ribbon to attach it to the scarf. And now I'm tying that string on there to tie it around the to tie it around the ornament. I'm telling you, it just sometimes when I craft, it's just zip, 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 zip. And sometimes it's stuff that I've done before, so it's old hat. And then sometimes when I learn as I'm teaching you, it's sort of like, Jer, come on, really? I get some comments, but like, you're supposed to be a professional. No, this isn't HGTV. This is YouTube. So if you're thinking about creating a YouTube channel, just remember that this isn't HGTV, it's YouTube. Okay. So now I'm just tying it, like I said, to that thick rubber band wad of fabric. It's all going to be hidden by the between the bow and the greenery. This pick I fell in love with, and I bought 2 because they had 2. If they would have had 7, I would have bought 7. That's all I'm saying. And all I did was pull off the little clip and glue it directly to the right side. The bow, I wanted to lean on the left a little bit, and the little greenery is on the right, and I just absolutely love the way it came out. What makes it so easy is it really was an easy bow. It was like an easy technique, but to add that pick at the end that's already done for you was just the easiest thing we could do. So I hope you guys really enjoyed this tutorial. If you do, give this video a thumbs up. Any questions at all, go ahead and leave them in the comments down below. Don't forget to share with friends and family. Anybody you know might be interested in learning how to make this or any of these techniques. And if you haven't yet, click subscribe. When you do, a little bell will pop up. When you ring that bell, YouTube will let you know whenever I upload a new video. And don't forget to check out the rest of the videos in the playlist. I have them linked in the description box down below. As always, you guys take care. God bless. And we'll see you next time. Bye.